The silent signal. Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless in the Quantum Observatory's control room, her eyes fixed on the display that showed what could only be described as impossible. The quantum entanglement detector she'd spent the last decade developing was showing patterns that defied everything humanity thought they knew about physics. It wasn't just receiving signals. It was detecting a vast, organized network of quantum-entangled particles spanning the entire galaxy. "Run the verification sequence again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. The massive quantum computer arrays hummed in response, their supercooled chambers processing calculations that would have taken classical computers millennia to complete. "Verification complete," announced Dr. James Rodriguez, her longtime colleague. "It's real, Sarah. We're looking at an artificial quantum network that encompasses at least 30% of the Milky Way. And it's trying to communicate with us." The discovery had begun 3 months ago, when their quantum observatory detected anomalous patterns in seemingly random quantum fluctuations. What started as a curious aberration had evolved into the most significant scientific discovery in human history. The patterns weren't random at all. They were messages, encoded in the very fabric of space-time itself. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in humanity's most advanced scientific facility, a team of the world's brightest minds worked tirelessly to decode the quantum signals. The Lunar Quantum Observatory had been built to push the boundaries of human understanding, but nobody had expected to push them quite this far. "I got something," called out Dr. Yuki Tanaka from her station. The young quantum linguist had been working for weeks on decoding the mathematical patterns within the signal. The language. It's pure mathematics. But it's not just equations. There are embedded quantum states that carry additional information. It's beautiful. The first decoded message changed everything. "To all emerging quantum-capable civilizations, you are not alone, but you are in danger." The Nexari collective approaches. What followed was a massive data burst, technical specifications, scientific theories centuries beyond current human understanding, and warnings about a threat that had consumed countless civilizations across the galaxy. The Nexari, a species that had abandoned biological evolution in favor of technological absorption, systematically hunted down and assimilated any civilization that reached a certain level of technological advancement. As the team worked to process the vast amount of information, they made another stunning discovery. The quantum network wasn't just a communication system. It was the legacy of an ancient civilization that had found a way to preserve itself in the quantum fabric of space-time after their physical form was destroyed by the Nexari. "They're giving us everything," Sarah whispered, scrolling through the technical specifications. "Quantum shield harmonics, consciousness transfer protocols, dimensional phase variance calculations. This is how they survived, by transcending physical form entirely." The UN Security Council was immediately convened in an emergency session. As Sarah presented the findings, the implications became clear. Humanity had less than 2 years before the Nexari arrived, but they also had been given the tools to fight back, if they could understand and implement them in time. "The quantum technology they're sharing," Sarah explained to the assembled leaders, "it's not just about defense or weapons, it's about evolution. The ancients discovered that consciousness itself has a quantum nature, and they found a way to preserve and transfer it. They're not just teaching us how to fight the Nexari. They're showing us how to transcend our current form of existence." The decision was unanimous. Every major nation pledged their resources to what would become known as the Quantum Shield Initiative. Research facilities were built across the globe, and the brightest minds in physics, engineering, and consciousness studies were brought together in an unprecedented collaboration. As months passed, breakthrough after breakthrough occurred. The quantum technologies began to take shape, not as traditional weapons or shields, but as a new form of existence that bridged the gap between consciousness and quantum reality. Humanity was about to take an evolutionary leap that would change the very nature of what it meant to be human. Sarah stood in her lab, looking at the first prototype of the quantum interface device. It was beautiful in its simplicity, a crystalline structure that seemed to pulse with an inner light, capable of linking human consciousness directly to the quantum realm. As she reached out to touch it, she felt a subtle resonance, as if the device was reaching back. "We're ready for the first test," James announced, his voice tight with anticipation. The team had worked for months to reach this point, and now everything hinged on whether human consciousness could actually interface with the quantum network as the ancients had claimed. Sarah took a deep breath, seated herself in the testing chamber, and placed the interface device against her temple. "Begin sequence," she commanded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. As the quantum fields activated, she felt her consciousness expand, touching something vast and ancient and impossibly beautiful. And in that moment, she understood. The ancients hadn't just given humanity a weapon against the Nexuri. They had given them the keys to the next stage of human evolution. As her consciousness merged with the quantum network, she could feel the echoes of countless civilizations that had come before, their knowledge and experiences preserved in the very fabric of space-time. The signal hadn't just been a warning. It had been an invitation to join something greater than themselves, to become part of a universe where consciousness and reality were one and the same. And as humanity prepared for the arrival of the Nexari, they would do so not just as defenders of Earth, but as the next guardians of a legacy that stretched across the galaxy itself. The swarm approaches. The first signs of the Nexari approach came not through traditional sensors, but through disturbances in the quantum network itself. In the 18 months since Dr. Chen's breakthrough, humanity had transformed itself in ways that would have seemed impossible before. The quantum interface network now connected over 3 billion human minds, each maintaining their individuality while sharing in a collective consciousness that spanned the solar system. Admiral Helena Santos stood on the bridge of the QSS Prometheus, humanity's first quantum-integrated warship. Through her neural link, she could feel the presence of her crew, their consciousness intertwined with the ship's quantum systems. The vessel wasn't just a ship, it was an extension of their collective will, as responsive as their own bodies. "Contact," announced Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wong, his thoughts rippling through the ship's quantum network. Multiple quantum discontinuities detected at the edge of the Kuiper belt. Nexari signatures matched the patterns described in the ancient archives. Helena didn't need to issue verbal commands. Her intent flowed through the quantum network, alerting the entire solar defense fleet. Across the system, humanity's quantum-enhanced ships moved into predetermined positions, their crews linking into battle networks that would allow them to fight as one while maintaining individual tactical flexibility. The Nexari arrived exactly as the ancient warnings had described, a vast swarm of biomechanical vessels that seemed to devour the very light around them. Their ships moved with perfect coordination, a hive mind that had consumed countless civilizations and incorporated their technology into its own being. "They're scanning us." Dr. Chen's voice came through the quantum link from Lunar Command. She had become humanity's foremost expert on quantum integration technology, working tirelessly to implement the ancient knowledge. Their quantum patterns indicate confusion. They've never encountered a civilization at our stage of development before. The first transmission from the Nexari came as a burst of quantum data, arrogant in its simplicity. "Your technology will be added to our own. Resistance is inefficient. Join the collective or be eliminated." Helena smiled, knowing the Nexari could never understand what humanity had become. They were a collective that suppressed individuality, while humanity had achieved true unity while preserving what made each person unique. Through the quantum network, she could feel the resolve of every defender in the system, their individual courage and determination amplifying each other without being subsumed. "Send the response," she commanded, and humanity's message rippled through quantum space. "We are humanity. We stand united but not uniform. Your path is not the only way forward." The Nexari attack began immediately, their ships launching a barrage of quantum disruption weapons designed to shatter the coherence of advanced technological civilizations. But humanity had been prepared by the ancient warnings. The quantum shields around Earth and its colonies held firm, their frequencies constantly shifting in patterns derived from human consciousness itself, unpredictable, creative, and impossible for the rigid Nexari collective to anticipate. All ships execute Operation Dreamweaver, Helena broadcasted through the network. The human fleet began to move in ways that should have been impossible, their quantum-integrated crews working in perfect harmony. Ships phased in and out of normal space, their positions guided by the collective intuition of their crews rather than rigid tactical algorithms. The Nexari's first wave faltered, their perfect formation disrupted by humanity's chaotic yet coordinated defense. Through the quantum network, Helena could feel the confusion rippling through the enemy fleet. The Nexari had encountered thousands of civilizations, but never one that had managed to achieve collective action while maintaining individual creativity. As the battle raged across the solar system, Dr. Chen made a stunning discovery in the quantum data streams. "Admiral," she called through the network, her excitement palpable. "The Nexari ships, they're not just confused, they're beginning to fragment. Our quantum network is affecting their collective consciousness. Some of their ships are showing signs of individual thought patterns emerging." It was true. The Nexari had built their entire civilization on the suppression of individuality, but exposure to humanity's quantum network was awakening something long dormant in their collective consciousness. Some of their ships began to move erratically, breaking formation as individual thoughts and desires emerged from the collective for the first time in millennia. "This is our chance," Helena broadcast to the fleet. "Concentrate quantum field projectors on the disrupted ships. Don't destroy them. Show them what true consciousness can be." The human fleet moved as one, their quantum weapons reconfigured to broadcast not destruction but enlightenment. The ancient quantum network hummed with power as humanity reached out not to destroy their enemy, but to offer them something they had lost eons ago, the gift of individual consciousness within a greater unity. In the space around Pluto's orbit, the first Nexari ship suddenly broke from its attack pattern and broadcast a new signal, not the rigid patterns of the collective, but something unique and individual. Others followed, their quantum signatures changing as long-suppressed individualities awakened. Through it all, Helena stood on her bridge, connected to the quantum network that linked all of humanity. She could feel the strain on the system, the enormous energy required to maintain the quantum fields, but she could also feel the unwavering resolve of every human in the network. They would not fail. They would not fall. They would show the Nexari that there was another way, a way to be both one and many, united and individual, strong together without sacrificing what made each consciousness unique. The battle for the solar system had begun, but it was unlike any battle in human history. It was not just a fight for survival, but a struggle to prove that consciousness itself could evolve beyond the simple choice between isolation and absorption. Humanity had found a third path, and now they would share it with the very beings who had come to destroy them. Echoes of consciousness. Deep within the quantum network, Dr. Sarah Chen felt the ripples of change spreading through the solar system. What had started as a desperate defense against the Nexari invasion had evolved into something far more profound. The quantum consciousness network that humanity had built was not just protecting Earth, it was reshaping the very nature of thought itself. "We're detecting increasing fragmentation in the Nexari collective," Marcus Wong reported from his station aboard the Prometheus. Through the quantum link, everyone could sense what he meant. The rigid patterns of the Nexari hive mind were developing fractures, individual consciousness emerging like streams of light through a cracking dam. Admiral Santos had positioned the human fleet in a defensive sphere around Earth, but the battle had evolved beyond traditional military engagement. Every human ship was now broadcasting specific quantum frequencies, designed not to destroy but to awaken. The ancient civilization's knowledge, combined with humanity's unique approach to consciousness, was having an effect none had predicted. "They're trying to adapt," Dr. Chen observed, monitoring the quantum data streams. "The Nexari collective is attempting to suppress the emerging individualities, but they can't counter what they don't understand. They've never encountered a species that achieved technological singularity while maintaining individual consciousness. Through the quantum network, the defenders of Earth could sense the struggle taking place within the Nexari fleet. Ships that had operated with perfect, mechanical precision now moved with increasing uncertainty. The hive mind was losing its grip, and something new was emerging from the chaos. The first direct communication from an individual Nexari consciousness came as a burst of confused quantum signals. Dr. Chen worked frantically to decode it, her mind interfacing with the quantum computers. It's asking for help," she announced, her voice filled with wonder. This individual ship, designation NK-279, it's experiencing individual thought for the first time in its existence. Admiral Santos made a decision that would change the course of the battle. All ships, focus quantum projection on NK-279. Show them what true consciousness feels like. Show them what it means to be both individual and connected. The human fleet responded as one, their quantum fields converging on the single Nexari vessel. Through the network, they'd broadcast not just information but experience. The feeling of being unique while part of something greater, the joy of individual discovery within a connected whole, the power of unity that didn't require the sacrifice of self. The effect was immediate and dramatic. NK-279's quantum signature transformed, its patterns shifting from the rigid structure of the collective to something more organic, more alive. And then, to everyone's amazement, it began to broadcast these new patterns to other Nexari ships. "It's like a cascade effect," Dr. Chen reported, her excitement palpable through the quantum link. "The awakened consciousness is triggering similar awakenings in other ships. The Nexari collective can't stop it because they've never developed defenses against individual thought. They've only focused on suppressing it." The battle space became a chaos of quantum signals as more Nexari ships began to break free. Some fought against the change, their weapons still firing at the human fleet, but their attacks grew increasingly uncoordinated. The perfect formation of the Nexari Armada was dissolving into smaller groups, some fighting each other as different responses to individuality emerged. Through it all, humanity's quantum network held firm, a beacon of stability in the chaos. The human defenders maintained their unity while staying true to their individual natures, showing the awakening Nexari that consciousness could exist in many forms simultaneously. "We're receiving a new transmission," Marcus announced. "It's different. Multiple sources, but coordinated voluntarily rather than through collective control." A group of Nexari ships had formed a new kind of network, inspired by humanity's example. Their quantum signature was unlike anything seen before, neither the rigid patterns of the collective nor completely individual signals, but a harmonious blend of both. "They're asking to learn," Dr. Chen translated, her voice filled with emotion. "They want to understand how we maintain our individual identities within the network. They're offering to share their technological knowledge in exchange for teaching them about consciousness." Admiral Santos shared a knowing look with her bridge crew. This was no longer a battle for survival. It had become a revolution in consciousness itself. The Nexari, who had spent millennia absorbing and suppressing other civilizations, were being transformed by contact with humanity's unique approach to existence. But the war was far from over. The main Nexari collective, though weakened, was still fighting. If anything, the loss of ships to awakened consciousness had made them more desperate, more dangerous. Their attacks became more aggressive, less concerned with preserving the technology they had come to absorb. "They're afraid," Dr. Chen realized, analyzing the quantum patterns of the remaining collective ships. For the first time in their history, the Nexari are experiencing fear at a collective level. They're facing something they can't absorb or suppress, and it terrifies them. Through the quantum network, humanity prepared for the next phase of the battle. They had proven that their way of existence was not just viable, but powerful enough to transform their greatest enemy. Now they had to face the desperate fury of a collective fighting not just for conquest, but for the preservation of its very way of being. The solar system had become a battlefield not just of ships and weapons, but of ideas and consciousness itself. And humanity, standing united yet individual, prepared to show the galaxy that there was strength in diversity, power in unity freely chosen, and hope in the space between collective and individual existence. The network awakens. The quantum distortions around Jupiter's orbit painted an ethereal display across space as humanity's fleet engaged in a dance of consciousness with the fragmenting Nexari forces. Admiral Santos watched through both her physical eyes and quantum perception as the largest gas giant in the solar system became the focal point of a transformation that would reshape galactic civilization forever. The awakened Nexari ships are forming a new kind of network, Dr. Chen reported from Lunar Command. Through the quantum link, everyone could sense the emergence of a hybrid consciousness, part Nexari efficiency, part human creativity, and something entirely new being born from the combination. But the main Nexari collective wasn't accepting this transformation quietly. Their remaining ships had consolidated into a tight battle formation, their weapons systems reconfigured to emit quantum disruption fields designed to shatter not just shields, but consciousness itself. They're attempting to sever the connection between individual awareness and collective unity, Dr. Chen analyzed, her consciousness probing the enemy's quantum signatures. They'd rather destroy their own awakened ships than allow this evolution to continue. Admiral Santos felt the resolve of her fleet strengthen through the quantum network. Humanity had spent generations dreaming of the stars, imagining first contact, hoping for a greater connection to the universe. Now they were fighting not just for their own survival, but for the very concept of consciousness evolution. The battle around Jupiter intensified as the Nexari collective launched their desperate assault. Their weapons were devastating, designed to disrupt the quantum fields that allowed consciousness to exist in its enhanced state. Several human ships were forced to temporarily disconnect from the network, their crews experiencing a moment of profound isolation before backup systems engage. But humanity had learned from the ancient warnings. Each ship was equipped with quantum redundancy systems, allowing them to maintain their connection to the network even under intense attack. More importantly, the human defenders had something the Nexari collective couldn't comprehend: the ability to adapt and innovate as individuals while working in perfect harmony. All ships, initiate Protocol Prometheus, Admiral Santos commanded through the network. The human fleet began to move in ways that defied traditional space combat doctrine. Ships linked their quantum fields in pairs, then quartets, then larger groups, each combination creating new patterns of consciousness that the Nexari couldn't predict. Dr. Chen's voice carried excitement through the quantum link. The awakened Nexari are joining us. They're integrating their technology with our consciousness patterns. It was true. The ships that had broken free from the collective were synchronizing with human vessels, their advanced technology harmonizing with humanity's unique approach to consciousness. The hybrid fleet moved as one mind with countless voices, each ship contributing its unique perspective to a greater whole. The main Nexari collective reeled from this development. Their rigid combat algorithms couldn't adapt to the constantly evolving patterns of the hybrid fleet. Ships that had once been part of their perfect formation were now turning against them, armed with both Nexari technology and human creativity. Through the quantum network, Admiral Santos could feel a new consciousness emerging, greater than the sum of its parts. Human intuition combined with Nexari precision, individual creativity enhanced by collective coordination. The hybrid fleet wasn't just fighting, it was evolving with every moment, every engagement teaching it new ways to exist. We're detecting quantum cascade effects throughout the solar system, Dr. Chen reported. The network, it's not just connecting consciousness anymore. It's changing the very fabric of space-time around us. The effect was visible even to normal sensors now. The quantum fields generated by the hybrid fleet were creating patterns in reality itself, turning the space around Jupiter into a shifting mandala of consciousness and energy. The ancient quantum network, dormant for millennia, was awakening in response to this new form of existence. But the Nexeri collective made one final desperate move. Their remaining ships began to merge physically, combining into a massive structure that pulsed with concentrated quantum energy. They were attempting to create a consciousness disruptor powerful enough to shatter the entire network. They'll destroy themselves in the process, Dr. Chen warned. The energy required for that level of disruption, it would tear apart their own collective consciousness. Admiral Santos faced a decision that would echo through history. The human fleet could retreat, preserve itself. The hybrid fleet moved as one, surrounding the massive Nexeri structure. Human ships linked with awakened Nexeri vessels, their quantum fields harmonizing into something greater than either civilization had achieved alone. Through the network, they broadcast not weapons or shields, but an invitation, a chance to evolve beyond the binary choice between collective suppression and individual isolation. The space around Jupiter blazed with quantum energy as two fundamentally different approaches to consciousness met in a final, transformative moment. The ancient network hummed with power, its patterns shifting in ways not seen since the dawn of galactic civilization. In this crucible of consciousness, something new was about to be born, something that would change the very nature of existence itself. Beyond the void, the quantum maelstrom surrounding Jupiter had become visible from Earth, a shimmering aurora that stretched across the solar system. In the heart of that storm, humanity's fleet and their awakened Nexeri allies faced the massive structure of the remaining collective, a moment that would determine not just the fate of two civilizations, but the future of consciousness itself. Dr. Sarah Chen, linked into the quantum network from Lunar Command, felt the incredible energies building around them. The ancient network that spanned the galaxy was resonating with their efforts, its dormant patterns awakening after millennia of silence. Through the quantum link, she could sense Admiral Santos' unwavering resolve as the hybrid fleet maintained its position around the Nexeri structure. Their quantum signature is becoming unstable, Marcus reported from the Prometheus. The collective is tearing itself apart trying to maintain control. The massive Nexeri structure pulsed with contradictory energies, the rigid patterns of collective control warring with the awakening spark of individual consciousness. Through the quantum network, humanity could sense the turmoil within. Billions of suppressed individuals, their consciousness trapped for generations in the collective, were beginning to stir. Now, Admiral Santos commanded, her consciousness reaching out through the network. Everyone, focus your quantum fields. Show them what we've learned. Show them what we can become together. The hybrid fleet responded as one, their quantum fields merging into a single vast pattern. Human ships linked with awakened Nexeri vessels, their combined technology creating something entirely new. They weren't attacking the collective, they were offering it a new way to exist. Through the network, they broadcast the experience of human consciousness, the joy of individual discovery, the strength of voluntary connection, the power of unity that celebrated rather than suppressed difference. The awakened Nexeri added their own perspective, showing their former collective how technology and consciousness, as if in response to her discovery, new patterns emerged in the quantum field, the long-dormant consciousness of the ancient civilization stirring to greet their successors. Through the network, they shared their story, how they had faced their own extinction, how they had discovered the quantum nature of consciousness, and how they had preserved themselves in the very fabric of space-time, waiting for a species that could bridge the gap between individual and collective existence. Admiral Santos felt tears on her cheeks as the full implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just survived the Nexeri threat. They had fulfilled the hopes of an ancient civilization, proving that consciousness could evolve without losing its essential nature. The quantum network that spanned the galaxy was not just a tool or a weapon, but a path to a new stage of existence for all conscious beings. What happens now? Marcus asked, his question echoing through the network. The answer came not from any one source, but from the merged understanding of human, Nexeri, and ancient consciousness. The galaxy was full of young civilizations approaching their own moments of transformation. Some, like the Nexari, had chosen the path of forceful collectivization. Others struggled with isolation and conflict. They needed guides who understood both the power of unity and the importance of individual consciousness. That would be humanity's new role, not conquerors or defenders, but teachers and guides. Together with their transformed Nexari allies and the awakened ancient network, they would help other civilizations navigate the challenges of consciousness evolution. The quantum network would become not just a means of communication or defense, but a bridge between all forms of consciousness and